music, yeah. Jesus music, yeah. When I hear the music.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Girl Time Podcast. I'm your host, Anisha Huggins, and this is episode 11, The Release of Fear. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe down below, and hit the notification bell to get notifications on upcoming episodes. I am nervous, excited, all of the feels about this episode today, and I have my sisters with me, and to my right, this is BriAnna Green.
Hey.
And to my left, we have BriAnna Thompson. So I got both of the Brees. Yay! How y'all doing today?
Good. Tonight, doing good.
Tonight, exactly. This episode today is about the release of our fears, our personal deep fears, to the capacity of what we want to share. And this is a release of those fears. We're going to talk about what they are, how they have impacted our lives, and also how we're going to get through this. We all know that fear comes in many forms, but personally, what are your deepest fears?
Of course, like I hate spiders, right? Like, so that's shallow, but
Yes.
I think for me, probably just not putting something out that's not maybe perfect or what I consider perfect or my best. And I think sort of in alignment with that, other people's perceptions of what I put out. I think I remember hearing a quote years ago that once you release something, an author, an artist, or whatever, it's up for the interpretation of others. And I think that's a little scary for me. Like, what if what I meant or what I intended is not the way people perceive it? So that for me is probably one of my biggest fears.
That's good too, because I'm the type of person to actually consider what everybody think about everything that I'm doing because I want different opinions. So that's really good. And I can say my deepest fear is success. I am afraid to work on things and I'll prolong projects because I know where it's gonna be, because the Lord shows me not the end point, but just the step to where it's bigger than when I started. And so that scares me because I'm not the type of person to just be out there and just doing things like that of that capacity. So that is my biggest fear, and I think that is why I take breaks on this podcast, because the Lord said, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep going. It's okay. Today is the day. I'm like, no, Lord, it's tomorrow. Like, what are you talking about? So that is my deepest fear. And also telling my stories, my personal life stories, and how it will affect other people that I love. And wording in a way of not being a victim, but this is my viewpoint. This is my opinion about this thing. I know they're not going to take it that way because they see something totally different. So those are my two fears.
Yeah, that's good.
Right off the back, I think my biggest fear is definitely public speaking. Like, that might be shallow, but for sure, that's definitely like number one, public speaking. I hate it.
You know something? I was doing some research, and it said that 75% of people, that is their number one fear. Like, that's the number one fear in the world. Public speaking.
75%
of the world.
I don't know what it is. I don't like being in front of people. I don't like attention like that. So that's automatic attention. And then get up there and draw a blank, like, what's going on? So definitely public speaking or speaking in front of people.
My hands get
What is going on?
That fear that you mentioned, how do you feel like it impacted your life? Because I can say for me was the whole, I'm a procrastinator.
Okay.
Big procrastinator.
I am too. I definitely am. I wait till the last minute to do everything. But I think for me, so it causes me to procrastinate because I'm nervous to put things out, right? Like, because I don't know if it's perfect or I don't know how other people perceive it. So last year, my favorite quote, like I love quotes. Since I was like a kid, I've always liked really catchy quotes. And so my quote was, get out of your head and execute. And my cousin has a brand, and that was like one of the things that he put out. And so for me, I tried to do that, like try to get out of my head and finish the things that I started. But there was always just that, is it really ready? Is it, it could be better. And so it just holds me back from doing the things that I know I need to execute.
For me, it's probably deeper than public speaking. It's just like people in general. I don't know. It's just that connection.
People looking at you.
Yeah, like even just conversation with people I don't know. It's like, where is this going? So that has stopped me from reaching out to people or speaking to people or sharing a story that I need to share. So I think that's how it's impacted me. Like, you're probably supposed to go out there and talk to these people, but this fear is definitely keeping you right here.
Because it's kind of like, like you said, like, what am I supposed to say?
Right.
But I'm not afraid to actually approach anybody because I love to meet new people. Yeah. And I know one of the things that the Lord has put on my heart to do was to be a public speaker. And I'm like, ooh, Jesus, how this gonna work?
But you're very personable, so I guess that shocks me a little bit. Like, cause you're very like. I mean, when I first met you, it was not hard at all to connect with you.
She was like, "Hey, girl,
how you doing?"
Straight up.
So I guess
everybody, my sister.
Right. Yeah, you're super lovey and personable, and I don't know, when you do connect with people, it's natural. So I guess that's surprising to hear.
I appreciate that. But put a camera in my face.
Yeah.
And then try to tell me to go talk to somebody. I'm like, listen, this took a while.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
So I appreciate that though. Has there ever been a time when you felt that you had no control over yourself or your circumstances in as far as your fear goes and how that impacted you in that moment? Because I can say for myself, being a big procrastinator, the fear of talking about my life, talking about stories that happened in my past, it really, really blocks me from doing what I love doing. And especially, like I said, being in front of a camera. So that moment or the times when it is time for me to start being in front of the camera or being in front of a group of people and having to say an announcement, girl, I'm shaking. So has there ever been a time when you felt that you had no control over your circumstances because your fear was bigger?
Okay, so I remember this one time, it was years ago, at my old church. Somebody literally called me out. I didn't even know. This was like, we had a youth night, something, I don't know. And one of my cousins, whose name I won't speak, got up there and was like, so we're going to have such and such share what this meant to them. So I'm like, okay, who's sharing? He calls me up there to share. I'm literally like, what? Like, you just going to call me? So I'm literally sitting in my seat like, I ain't just hear my name, so I'm not going up there.
Right.
So he calls me and my brother up there, and we go up there. I'm like, you can go ahead and go first, because I don't even know, like, I ain't supposed to be up here right now. Right. So my brother speaks, and then it's my turn. I'm literally up there like, yeah, I'm just about to stand here, because I'm still trying to process how he thought I was going to speak. Like, who told you that I was going to come up here and say something? So I'm literally up there, right, because I ain't hear the Lord say my name. Like, so I'm just standing up there literally shook, like, and at that point, I ain't got no control over what's happening right now because I'm just stuck. Like, so I fumbled up some words. I don't even remember what I said, but I was literally shook. Like, wow, you just gonna call me up here and I don't even know what to say. Like, it wasn't a warning. Like, hey, I'm gonna call you up at the end of this little youth service thing and tell you. He definitely called me up there, and I definitely was shook. And I definitely felt like I didn't have no control of what was going on at the time. And I was literally like, wow. That's deep. I will always remember that, because that it did something to me. Like, I was not ready for this.
That's like when Pastor Denise called me up to pray.
Ooh, did she pray on Sunday morning? Child. That
yes. Because we were praying for the youth in the community.
Ooh, don't let them call you for something you don't know. We don't
right.
Right. Like, hold on.
People that's under the president. Like,
All the branches of government, all of them.
Sure will call you. Pray for the people overseas who's doing what? I don't even know. Like, what?
I can't say that that's happened to me where I could recognize it, like a moment where it's like, okay, I mean, other than just the obvious of prolonging things or whatever, but no like moment that sticks out to me. I'm very passive aggressive a little bit, and so like even if I do feel uncomfortable, it's hard for me to say no. So like, yes. I probably am going to say yes, and then I think, I don't know, my parents, my mother and grandparents, and everybody who sort of raised me were very firm about like when a grown up asks you to do something, you do it. Yes. Or that's always been something that I'm going to do it if I'm asked to do it. Yeah. But as far as on my own, it's just prolonging things. Yeah, and not doing it when God has told me to do it, which probably should stick out to me more. Like I know that the Lord told me to do it. So I don't know. I guess that's one of those things that ties into the fear itself of people and what people think, as opposed to what God expects of me.
So there are times when the Lord say, "I need you to do this," and I say, "Are you sure, Lord? I need a sign.
Right, girl.
I need a sign. If I get this sign, I need confirmation because this is out of my comfort zone, yeah. Jesus." And I think one of those things recently for me was starting a business. Well, how do you react when you feel that fear that we talked about earlier, and how is your spiritual relationship affected by that moment? I can say that my relationship has grown as I have grown, and as I have been married to Jared, because he has a very strong relationship with Christ. And I feel fear, the fear of public speaking, the fear of telling my story, the fear of wanting to get to where the Lord is taking me to. I go against what God says. I doubt, I second guess, I do everything under the sun that I'm not really supposed to do. And sometimes it really draws me away from him. And until I realize in that moment that it draws me away, I really got to pray. And I'm like, God, I just want to be closer to you. And I want to do what you tell me to do. I don't want to run from it anymore. So yes, it definitely draws me away spiritually.
I think I have moments of where it draws me away because I know that I'm not doing something. I guess I feel a sense of incompleteness, if that's a word. Sometimes feel incomplete because it's like I know that, and there are things that the Lord has told me that it's like I know my life would be better, like the quality of life. I would feel happier. I would have, just even more joy and all these things if I were doing the things that I know the Lord has called me to. And then I think I also have moments where it really does bring me to my knees because I know that. So like, it's like, there are things, one thing you talked about with your fear of your family and how they'll respond to some things that maybe the Lord has called you to reveal. And I'm struggling with that same thing in the process of working on some things, I will say, but it will cause some things to come to light. And so in those moments, it really brings me to my knees because it's like, Lord, I need all of the grace that, to cover not only me, but them. How am I going to do that? And then if that doesn't happen immediately, will I still feel okay to release it? Like, will I allow that to not hold me back? Like once say the work is complete, it's like, I know it's done. I know it's ready, but will I allow what they may think or feel to hold me back? And how do I do this in a way that I know it won't shame your people? So I think I have moments of both where I feel more disconnected, and then other moments where I'm forced to my knees as a result of that awareness, I guess.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because I feel you.
I think I'm the opposite. I think I draw closer in those times of fear, when it's public speaking or speaking to others or doing whatever in public. Because I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need Jesus right here next to me. Like, if I'm going to speak in public, I need Jesus right here to hold my hand. If, like, with singing, like, who would ever thought in a million years that I would ever do anything?
Who would have ever thought? Like, that is a very good question. Who
So
would have ever
his
thought?
sister was killing.
Kill it and let us know.
Listen.
Y'all clown me.
You mentioned it, and I
Right.
wasn't gonna talk about it.
Right. I wasn't gonna say it, but since you did.
Somebody mentioned it, like, I can't believe you're, like, how do you get up there and do that? And, like, they know, like, I don't like to do nothing, like, speaking or nothing. I'm like, look, if I just close my eyes and think, like, Jesus is standing right here next to me, like, I'll be okay. Like, I literally have to picture, like, Jesus is standing behind me and his hands are on my shoulders, like, all right, you got this. Like, that's literally the only way I can make it through these things. If not, like, I'm up here by myself, and I don't want that. Like, I don't want to be up here talking by myself or singing by myself or anything like that. Like, no, I need Jesus right here. So in those moments, I'm like, all right, Jesus. Like, the last Sunday that I led, I literally was like, all right, Jesus, me and you. Because it ain't just me. If it's just me, then
Hey, let me just say, I couldn't even dance, okay?
Nah,
Really let that song. I had to step to the side. I said, y'all got this. I had to watch. I'm sorry. And I told her afterwards that I was about to be real ghetto.
Yes,
And
you
I was
were.
like, that's my sister.
I would have sat down right then and there. Y'all got this.
I didn't do it though, because I know you. I know you.
I was like,
I know you.
That's good.
I got you.
But yeah, that was definitely all. I can't do it without you.
We talked about facing our fears in the moments of when we have to do that thing that the Lord has put on our hearts to do. How do you feel after you accomplish that goal or that mission that the Lord gives to you? Like, how do you feel after?
Relieved.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, because it's over, or yeah, because
Right,
I mean, if
you
it's
accomplished.
nerve wracking, I'm like, yes, it's over.
Gotcha,
Like, immediate thoughts, like, yeah, it's over.
Okay,
For sure.
okay, yes, you feel that way, but
I mean, accomplished, yes. Like, yay, I did that.
okay,
But
so you
immediate
like a
thoughts is
small
like,
victory
woo.
cheer.
Yes.
I feel accomplished. I feel victorious. I feel happy in the sense of growing, and actually stepping outside of myself to do something for somebody else.
Yeah.
I know in my head I'm having this whole conversation about what's gonna happen when I get on that mic and what I'm gonna say. But then when I get up there and I freeze and I don't say anything, and then it's just like the moment after, like, the announcement is done. I would say the announcement is done. I'm like, dang, I should have said. But I still feel good about myself because I did that thing that I never said. Well, I always said I would never do.
Gotcha.
So,
I guess I do feel all
Yeah.
that too. Like last Sunday, I felt all that.
you
Before I was like, dog, I'm not even finna leave
You
this song.
should have
Like,
felt all of
you
that.
should've, yeah,
You should've.
Yeah, definitely accomplished and just proud of myself. And I think I be feeling like Jesus is proud of me too. Like,
Yeah.
hey, good job. Like, it's a level. It's like, have you ever played like a video game and it's like you complete so many rounds and it'd be like level up till you go to the next level?
Yeah.
And that's sort of how I feel. Like, it just increases my faith. I'll say one thing. Last couple years ago, the Lord was really dealing with me just about outreach and going out and praying for people. And every time I got ready to pray for somebody, all the nerves came, all of the fear, all of the, like, say I see somebody sick, especially, I'm like, if I pray for them and they don't get healed right now, they gonna think, not only am I a joke, but you a joke. I don't want to make you look silly. Is this you telling? Like, all these thoughts are going through my head in the moment. And I'm like, if I keep thinking, they're gonna be gone. And I ain't gonna have time to pray. So, like, after I finish, yeah, it definitely, I mean, and then seeing the results too. Oh, it makes you feel so good. Like, yes, Lord, you definitely got the victory. And so I think that's why I feel like he's proud, because in all these things that he's called us to do is to glorify him, right? And within it, I think there's a sense of just leveling up. Us leveling up. I can't say level up.
I can't even say anything.
For real. And it's not in a boastful place, but we should grow in our faith. We should mature in our faith.
You have to.
Yeah. And so I think for me, I'd be like, Daddy's proud.
Yeah.
And it feels good. It feels good to know that he's proud.
Leveling up.
Listen,
I have to say that is a tongue twister. But in the process of that, and being at different stages of your life, because I mean, we still have growing to do, and we still have different obstacles to face. And now that we got responsibilities with bills and all that other stuff, that was way different than we were teenagers, and everything came easy. So growth is necessary. So did you guys participate in the treasure hunts when we used to do them?
Yep.
In the old building? So how did you feel about knowing that you had to go out and pray for somebody that the Lord revealed to you? Because I ain't never found nobody, but
I found people, but I was like, y'all gonna pray for them. The Lord gave me these signs. Here y'all go, and y'all can go pray for them. That's
when
how
you
that works.
say you never found anybody, do you mean that
I never tried to
none
find
of the
them.
hints was on your what you heard, or you didn't hear nothing?
No, I heard, but I didn't try to find them.
You didn't try to find them.
No, and I feel bad about that.
Oh my God.
But I didn't, like, when we would go, sometimes, like, we had people that other people found. But at that time, I was just very timid, and I didn't want to actually approach anybody and pray for them, because I mean, I still kind of feel this way too, but I don't feel like my prayer life is that strong to where it will actually break chains, change somebody spiritually, or at least have them feel like they can go out and they feel different about their circumstances and stuff like that. So at that time, now if we do it now, I'm finding everybody. But at that time, it was, I got a paper. I got my paper full, but I ain't found none of these people.
I say this loosely, the office that I believe that God has called me to evangelism. So for me, it was sort of like I felt in those moments, even though I had fear, I would say more nerves than anything. I do still feel like that was sort of like my element. So for me, I was more excited than anything. Like even in the nervousness, I'm like, but I want to do this because I want to see God. I guess just to encourage you guys in regards to feeling like that. I was reading a book about prophetic evangelism, and it was encouraging because she talked about God wants to bless his people.
Right.
So when you step out on faith, it's not so much what you are doing, but what he's doing. And so for me, that was always my encouragement. Like, God, this ain't right now. You got to do this. You know what I mean? And like, no matter what little prayer, even if I just say in Jesus' name, you know what I mean? I have to trust you to do the work, and it's almost like petitioning him, like, hey, it's on you, and not in a prideful way, but just like, because at the end of the day, that's who's doing it anyway. We just the vessel. So that, I think that always was my strength in those moments, to be like, Lord, you got to do it. And so reading that in that book really helped me.
Is there any advice that you would give to anyone? Because we talked about how we kind of overcame those fears. Is there any advice that you would give to somebody that is just going through a similar situation as you? I would say never give up. That has been, those 3 words has spoke so much to my life over the course of 10 years, because graduating from Ball State was a fear that I had also about not graduating, but I ended up graduating. But never give up. Always fight for what you believe in. If you slip, if you backslide, pick up the pieces and keep moving forward.
My advice would just be, keep your eyes on Jesus. I mean, you don't got nothing else. Just keep your eyes on Jesus. That's all I gotta do. Every time I think I'm about to go speak to somebody or lead a song or whatever, or dance, like.
So you still feel that way when you dance?
Every Sunday I dance.
Really?
Yes. Every Sunday. And I don't think it's like, I don't mind dancing in front of people. I don't know what it is, because I'm not nervous to dance in front of people. So I don't know what that anxiety is. But
My advice, you know what? Another quote.
Oh my God.
I love quotes. Come on.
Which is, never look into the future with eyes of fear. That is my favorite quote. Listen, when I was a junior in high school, our English teacher, every day we had a quote, and we had to write what the quote meant to us. And that quote, literally for 15 years now, has stuck with me. I say it to all my friends, but literally just that, because it's the, even as believers, we learn, right? So man thinketh, so is he. And so if you expect the worst to happen. 9 times out of 10, that's what's going to happen. And so that, I mean, I know this whole thing is about fear, and I have fears, and, you know, and we've sort of been transparent about what that's looked like. But if you can, you know, try to look into the future with great expectation, with what the best could be instead of what the worst could be. I think too, as Black women, sometimes we are almost set up to expect the worst. Yeah. And I say that sort of loosely, but I could say in my own personal experience, it's like you got to prepare for the worst that could happen. And so I think breaking that mentality is tough, but if you can work at that to look into the future with hope.
Right now, as you can see, we have these cue cards in front of us. This is an activity that you guys can join in and do with us. But basically what we would do is we are saying enough is enough. We're living in fear, and we are facing different fears every single day. And in order for us to get over or get through those moments, we are activating the release of fear. So what we're gonna do, and we're gonna write. Maybe you have 2, maybe you have 3. I know I probably got a whole bunch, so I'm trying not to fill them up. But if you can write your biggest fear on, like, if you have, like, say, my success and whatever, but we're gonna write. Alrighty, y'all faster writers than me. Fear of going above and beyond of what I'm used to doing. Yep. Y'all see your writtenness? And you guys are my accountability partners. So
basically, it's just public speaking, sharing stories, conversing with strangers, or anything regarding speaking and anxiety.
Exactly. Yes.
Enough for me.
Amen. Come on, rip it up.
Fear of imperfection and premature release of things. So,
I love it. Yes. Fear of sharing stories that will have a negative outcome in my life. This treasure box, this beautiful treasure box, we are lacking this, and we are saying that we are not living in fear any longer, even the fears that we did not mention today. But we are lacking this and throwing it in the middle of the ocean. We're not even by an ocean, but we're gonna find the ocean.
You're doing a couple thousand miles.
That's okay. I'm gonna go straight to Chicago and drop it in Lake Michigan. So that's what it's gonna be. That's what it's gonna be. But it's all fun and games, but it's very serious because I know for myself I battle with depression and anxiety. So that's also in there. I ain't writing on the card, but that's in there too. You guys have anything else to say?
No, I'm very proud of you. For
Thank you.
Knocking down some of your fears with this. This is really good.
Thank you.
Yes,
I really appreciate it. And
yes.
I really appreciate you guys being here. It gets so annoying. Oh my God. No, but I really love and appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you so much.
I almost said no because of public speaking.
See, look. Fear.
Yes.
Overcomer. Yes.
Shut your mouth, devil.
So I really cannot wait to see where the Lord is taking us individually in the plans that He has for our lives. I can't wait to see it manifest. And for you guys, comment, let us know what you think. What are your deepest fears and how have you overcome? We'd love to hear what you guys say.
Like and subscribe.
With our life stories and telling those stories, it is our job to uplift other people in a way of giving them courage, hope, motivation, and strengthen them to keep going. So if you or someone you know would like to join in the conversations, click on the link in the description box. The form is to help us get to know you. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to catch Girl Time Podcast on YouTube and the Anchor app every Thursday. Until next time.